Hello there, World of Takers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Rudol's Blitz, and in today's video, we will be taking a look at this Tier 8 Swedish Premium Heavy, the Bofors Tornvagn. This vehicle is currently not in the game, but it will be entering the game most likely in crates within the next few months of this video being made. Right now, we can see pictures of it in Blitz from rendered files, and it looks exactly like it does on World of Tanks PC. In fact, I own this vehicle on World of Tanks PC, so I have a very good idea of how this tank is going to perform in Blitz. In today's video, I'll be breaking into the statistics that will most likely transfer into Blitz, its armor profile, and why this might be the strongest Tier 8 to enter the game. Now, when it comes to initial impressions on its looks, you'll notice it doesn't look very good at anything. I mean, it's got a big ol' hull with a huge lower plate, big ol' mid plate. Its sides are big ol' blockies, doesn't really have anything angled. The turret does look angled, but it's kind of like a Concept 1B turret. And you'd be correct thinking that if it looked like a Concept 1B turret, because if we take a look at the armor profile, that's exactly what it also is armored like. The upper part of the turret is upwards of 390 millimeters thick, and the weakest part of this turret is directly at the center at about 290-ish to 280. Yeah, that's the weakest part of the turret, 280 millimeters thick. That means loading premium shells from a vehicle like a T-34, well, that's really the only spot you can pen this vehicle. It is quite insane, and if you're using it with gun depression like the 10 degrees it has, this is what you're going to be looking at. And again, this is with 297 millimeters of pen. If you have like 250, I mean, the tank is absolutely insane. It is by far one of the strongest armored vehicles, right up there with the ML1 when it comes to hull down capabilities. And you'll also notice that, well, the upper plate's not all too bad. This mid-bar here is upwards of 275 millimeters thick. And what that means is if you just angle the vehicle a little bit, you can see that the mid-bar actually gets to 320. However, do keep in mind its lower plate's only about 150, so it does have weaknesses. As well, it's got these little corner cutouts here, which are about 250. They're not super weak, but if you don't angle them, they can definitely become weak spots, especially for premium ammunition in Tier 8. The side armor on this tank is absolutely atrocious at only 50 millimeters thick, and that's also the case for the side of the turret, which is only about 90 millimeters thick. So it doesn't really have good side armor. That's also the same for the rear of the tank at only 40. So literally all of the armor is based on the front of this vehicle. And we should also talk a bit about the gun, because it does carry a pretty interesting gun. As I said, it's very similar to a T-34. So, if we notice, it has 2,041 DPM. Now, obviously, these are PC statistics, and I have fully kitted this tank out. I've put a rammer on it. I've put a directive rammer as well. I've put Brothers in Arms. I've put food on it. So, I have fully equipped this vehicle, and it's 2,041 damage per minute. So, in World of Tanks Blitz, I would expect this to be around the same as the IS series vehicles, maybe about 1,900 damage per minute base, which sounds pretty average for me. We can see it's got 400 damage per shot and standard pen of 248. If we were to take a look at the premium penetration, you will see that it's sitting at 297 millimeters, which I do expect to see a very close value in Blitz. This vehicle carries an incredibly strong gun when it comes to the penetration values. Now, dispersion-wise, it's absolutely awful on PC at 0.39. Obviously, Blitz values and PC values are a bit different on dispersion, but what I'll say is that its aiming time and dispersion are pretty mediocre. It's very similar to, again, a T-34. And as we know, the T-34 in World of Tanks Blitz features one of the most inaccurate guns when it comes to heavies out there, especially on aiming time. So, yeah, what I would say about the Bofors Tornvagn is that it's not going to be the most accurate vehicle, but that makes sense because it really shouldn't be. It has all that armor, it has all that penetration, and it has alpha, so it makes sense that this vehicle would not have a very accurate gun. Mobility-wise, it has a top speed of 32 and a reverse speed of 12, so it's not very mobile, which also makes sense. And its power to weight is 11.4. Yeah, it's also not a very good power to weight vehicle. To put in comparison the similarity of that power to weight, it's about the same as like an E75, which the E75 obviously is a super heavy, basically features an insane amount of armor. This vehicle, while it does feature an insane amount of armor, obviously is a bit different on the spectrum, where it's just a lot different because it's not necessarily the same kind of armor where the E75 has that brute force punching through frontline capabilities. This tank is only going to be good hull down. It is verbatim a Concept 1B in Tier 8. However, before you get scared, again, I should point out that the gun handling statistics, the damage per minute on this vehicle are not nearly on the same level that the Concept has. The Concept in Tier 10 actually has really good DPM, aiming time, dispersion. I can't imagine that Wargaming is going to give that this vehicle the same values in Blitz. When it comes to the traverse speed, 24 degrees a second is actually pretty good. I'm kind of surprised about that if I'm going to be completely honest. Same for the traverse speed on medium terrain, although soft, 14 degrees a second, not very good. But you know what? I'm still surprised that the vehicle actually has decent traverse. I wouldn't say 24 is good, but it's good enough to get the job done. Turret traverse is very slow at 25 degrees a second. That'll make it one of the slower turret traverses if it does come into Blitz like that, so just keep that in mind. When it comes to hit points, obviously PC hit points are still a lot different than Blitz, so it's got 1600 instead of the normal. It should be about 1900, I would say, fully equipped 1800 base. While the Tornvagn on paper seems very overpowered, you do need to realize that there are vehicles in Blitz that already do a lot of the things the Tornvagn does, but honestly kind of better. Take a look at the 53 TP, for example. This vehicle goes 40 kilometers per hour base with 16 in reverse. With improved gear oil, it goes 20 in reverse and 44 as a top speed. When you add that into the fact that this vehicle has a much better effective power to weight of 17.2 compared to the 11, it has much better traverse speed at 45 degrees a second instead of the 24, and its gun has more alpha damage, very similar penetration values, and as well pretty similar aiming time and DPM. It showcases where we already have vehicles that are very good hull down. And as many of you know, the 53 TP has one of the best turrets in the game. The really only way you're going to pen this tank hull down is if you hit that little itty bitty hatch on the back of the tank. And this isn't the only vehicle that has incredible hull down capabilities. We could also find a vehicle, for example, like the Shark, and sure, it doesn't carry as much alpha as a vehicle like the Tornvagn, but it still does carry incredible mobility, upwards of 40 kilometers per hour. Once again, it's got 20 in reverse, it's got really good DPM at over 2100, it's got great penetration, it's got good traverse speed at 38 degrees a second, so we already have a lot of super strong vehicles hull down, and I wouldn't necessarily say that the Tornvagn, especially in the aspect and environment of Blitz, is going to be the most overpowered vehicle, so don't just sit there and think that it is going to be. As I said earlier, the most comparable vehicle the Tornvagn I could really relate to would be this, a T-34. The T-34 is not the most mobile vehicle. It still has a lot more traverse speed at 35 degrees a second, but I can't imagine that Wargaming would leave it that slow in Blitz as it is. So what I would expect is just imagine a T-34 with a better turret and a different hull. I wouldn't say the T-34 hull is good by any stretch of the imagination, but the Tornvagn it's just going to be a better T-34. Basically just a newer, updated version of this vehicle that already exists in Blitz. But honestly, I kind of say the T-32 is already that. As the T-32's been buffed so many times in Blitz, it's already got an incredibly good upper plate, a turret that's nearly impervious. The only thing the T-32 doesn't carry is really a good alpha damage, but it's still got the DPM at 1986, so yeah, when it comes to the Tornvagn, I'm excited for the tank. I think it'll be a really cool new vehicle to come into Tier 8. I don't think it'll be the most overpowered vehicle out there because it doesn't have mobility, it doesn't have damage per minute, it doesn't carry accuracy, which are very important aspects for a Tier 8 vehicle, or a Tier 10 vehicle at that. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Obviously, if you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But as well, let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.